with Jay and Phil coming later, I'll let them talk mostly about personnel. So I'll touch on some of it. But I was disappointed when Coach Williams decided to retire. You go back and look at my history here. I had Coach Smith, I had Coach Guthridge, and then I had Coach Williams. So that's my Carolina basketball life. So I'm happy for him. I'm not going to enjoy playing golf with him near as much now that he's free to play every day, because he was better than I was to start with, and now it's going to get worse. So, Hubert Davis is a guy I enjoyed watching play when I was here. And he got on me yesterday. He said Todd Burnett was a quarterback, and I was his wide receiver. You signed Todd Burnett and you turned me down. And I said, well, it worked out okay for you. So he had a very passionate words with our team. I was very impressed. It was off the cuff. He just showed up, and I said, will you say something? And he really got to their hearts. So really excited about Hubert moving forward. Obviously, Coach Williams and I had a great working relationship, like I did with Coach Guthridge and Coach Smith, and it will continue with Coach Davis. So wish him well and want to help him in any way we can. One announcement as we're going forward that I'm very, very proud of, Quincy Monk, who was an inside linebacker for us here and played with the Giants. I recruited him out of Jacksonville. He was actually a quarterback, and he passed away in cancer in 2015 at a very early age and left us way too soon and broke a lot of hearts. And I still follow his mom and his family on Facebook. A group of 12 of his teammates have donated money to name the linebacker room the Quincy Monk linebacker room. So that's really cool. And he would have forever been in our football history with his legacy anyway. But that every day that I walk by that linebacker room now, I'll have a smile on my face remembering all the great things about Quincy Monk. So proud of those guys for stepping up and donating the room. We divided spring practice up into 3 different phases. You have 15 days. The first 2 had to be in shorts by NCAA rules. And then since then, we've had 4 in pads. So we're into the second phase. So we set goals for the first phase, and you can talk to Phil and Jay about their goals for each of their areas as well as special teams. And now we're into the second phase. So you go back and reevaluate your first 5 days and talk about what we have to get done in the next 5 days. And most of that right now is personnel evaluation because we're working really, really hard at separating positions. We got a lot of good players at different places. We need some to step up and be great players. And that's what we're working to see. I thought we had a very good practice yesterday, especially coming off of Easter break. And the guys really worked hard, and we said we're getting more competition right now because we got better players competing against each other in practice. The older guys, we're letting them do a lot of individual work, and if we've put in a new scheme on offense or defense, we're letting the older guys learn that new scheme. But by and large, they're doing drill work, the experienced guys, and they're not doing a lot of the other teamwork or scrimmage type stuff. But we said competition has stepped up at every level, and that's what we've got to continue to do. We will be releasing information soon on the spring game, and that's how to get tickets, how to get in, how many we can have based on the governor's guidelines for COVID. So that should be out soon. So if our fans are asking. We will scrimmage on Saturday. We'll practice for a little bit, and then we will scrimmage. That will be open. And what we will do is we'll have our experienced guys probably thud the first part of scrimmage, and then we'll actually scrimmage and have a game as such with our younger guys at the end of that have not played as many plays. Vaccines are starting to be available on campus for our students and our staff. and we're encouraging all of our players to get the vaccine. We've got to figure out guidelines if we have some who will not. We've got to figure out what does that mean for those that do. Do we still have to wear a mask? Do we still have to social distance? Do we still have contact tracing? And how could that affect us? We've been very good that our tests are still coming back negative. So I'm really, really proud of the guys and the staff that they're continuing to do the things they need to do to have a great spring practice. But we know that COVID's still out there and it's still strong in areas, and that's why we would encourage our players to get the vaccine. We still don't have any scholarship updates for our 22s, how many scholarships will be available, or if that process will change. So we're still waiting on that information from the NCAA. And also we feel like by April 15th we should be able to get some information on the access for June. We have our camps set up. We're getting great response for camps. We are setting some official visits. We're setting unofficial visits. But obviously we're hoping that June is open so the 22s and 23s can start coming to our campus, because they haven't been on our campus now for over a year where we could sit and visit with them or work with them. So we'll keep you updated as soon as we get information on June access, which is huge for our recruiting. We will let you know. Questions? Excuse me, one other. Bo Corrales is working in spring practice, probably about 3/4 speed. We don't know for sure whether he will have full speed work or play in the spring game. Joffrey Brown is out of the spring for the rest of practice, but we've been assured that when we start summer workouts, he'll be ready to go and be full speed ahead for the summer. Questions?
Okay, Ross Martin, please get us underway.
Hey, Coach. Coach Brown, I wanted to ask you some questions about the basketball deal and situation there. You mentioned that you and Roy Williams have a great working relationship and that you hope that is the same with Hubert Davis. What is that relationship in terms of how y'all can benefit each other, the basketball team, the football team? What's that look like, and kind of how's that go at UNC?
Ross, the biggest thing is that if we have some guys who would like to play basketball if they can, the biggest thing would be I would call Coach Williams and say, would you talk to Des Evans because he has interest in joining your basketball team after we get through with football season? And Roy was unbelievable. He always said yes. And his rule was they got to compete hard, they got to play hard, they got to show up, and they got to do well academically. And our rule is that if he wants you and if you're doing well academically, you can go. And we did that with Greg Ellis. We did that with Octavius Barnes. We did that with Julius Peppers. So it has worked for us in the past. And so that's a huge part of it. Somebody like Greg Black's mom said, if you'll let me meet Coach Dean Smith before the Duke game this weekend many years ago, then Greg will commit. And I laughed and said, I've been here 5 years. I haven't met Coach Smith, but I'll try to see if I can get it worked out. And Coach Smith took Greg and his mom in and sat down with them for 30 minutes before a huge Duke basketball game just to help us recruit. And Mom was right. Greg committed to us right after that. So the biggest part of it is recruiting. I'm a huge basketball fan. All my kids grew up with Carolina. They're huge basketball fans. So I'll be at every game I can be at, and if I'm not there, our assistant coaches are begging me for the tickets. So, but I think that's the biggest part where the relationship works for us. And then Hubert would bring guys to our games and put them on the sideline before the game, and I would obviously talk to any basketball recruit or any other sport on our campus if they have a recruit at any time, if I can help our quote athletic family get better.
If I could follow quickly, Mark, Keyshawn Silver mentioned that he wanted to walk on to the basketball team. Is that still going to happen? What do you think about that? Is there any developments there?
Yes. When Hubert came out to practice yesterday, I didn't see Des, but I asked Keyshawn to run over and basically Hubert assured them that anything that Coach Williams had told them still stands good. So Keyshawn, if he's doing all the things right for us and still wants to, we'll have that opportunity after football season next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CL Brown, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, I wanted to get into turnovers because obviously that was something you mentioned throughout last season, trying to produce more. But how do you do that? Like, I'm curious on, how in spring practice do you kind of foster, I don't even know how you go about doing that other than, just being well scouted and executing. So I'm curious what are the steps you're taking to try and do that now?
CL, it's a great question. And teams that win all the games usually have 22 plus 22 or 23 turnover ratio. I mean, that makes the difference in whether you win or lose. So obviously it's very important. And sometimes we say they come in bunches. Sometimes you'll get 7 of them in a row, and then you'll go 3 games and not get any. And every day, we'll have a staff meeting at 2 o'clock today. I will talk about ball security with the offense because we've done a great job in that area. And then I'll talk about, we always call it tip and rip, tip a ball that a quarterback throws and rip a ball out of the runner's hands. And I'm seeing a lot of guys trying to rip now. It's harder when you're in thud in practice because you've got to hit somebody and try to rip the ball. And it's harder when you're standing on your feet and doing all that. So that's not as conducive to forcing turnovers. But turnovers are usually forced when you've got a good enough defense that the initial guy can get there and make the hit, and other guys get there and start stripping the ball. And we haven't been that good. We've been okay. We've been middle of the road on defense. So we're hoping that will get better. The second place turnovers occur is when you stop somebody on first down and the quarterbacks are in second and long and third and long, and you affect the quarterback's throws because you can put pressure and by pass rush, by blitz, tip a ball, get him to throw it too quickly, get him to throw it as he's running out of the pocket off balance, and that's when you really get your turnovers. And very honestly, we haven't been great at either one of those. So we're really looking at who are our most effective pass rushers. And we're putting them against our best offensive linemen, and we'll have a package when we get them in a throwing position to have our best pass rushers on the field. And we should have better pass rushers now than we've had for the previous 2 years overall. We should have more. So that's one of the huge goals for this spring. Who can rush the passer? And the other thing is the third phase would be who can catch balls in the secondary. It used to be that if a guy couldn't catch, you put him at corner or put him at safety because he couldn't play wide receiver in the old days. Now you need interceptions. So it's hard to play a defensive back that can't catch. And like Cam Kelly had one yesterday that he reached, and it would have been a great catch with one hand. And he came to me immediately and said, I got to get that ball. That's a turnover. I got it. So they know it, it's there, it's real, and now we've got to make it happen.
Okay, next up is Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, I'm kind of curious what your take is on the second-year guys in the program, the ones that didn't have a spring last year, and a lot of them played just having a fall camp and kind of thrown out there in some respects. How has that group kind of changed and sort of morphed into the role of more experienced players that have sort of been there, done that way about them? And if there's any of them that has kind of surprised you and how they have elevated their games, their bodies, their approaches from last year?
Yeah, Andrew, it's another great question, but you start looking at the number they gave me the other day, which shocked me. And I haven't even followed up on it. Staff told me we only have 21 guys who have been through a spring practice because we're so young. And I think there's like maybe 70 out of our 85 or 90 next year are going to be freshmen or sophomores. So we're still a really, really young program. But just for instance, a guy that stands out would be Josh Downs. Josh had no off-season work, which he would have had if he had been here in spring. And he didn't get to play as much because Daz was playing really well and Daz could run forever. but now Josh Downs looks great. So I felt like if he had had spring practice and a better, more organized summer, because we had COVID rules all summer where they couldn't do one-on-ones and they couldn't use a ball for a while. We had so many rules that we really didn't have a good summer workout either. So that's just an example of he looks great. And he looks like a veteran now, where he didn't earlier in the season last year. The second part of that would be the big guys. You lose strength, and it's very, very difficult. Brian Hess, to me, is one of the best in the country at what he does, but it was a lot harder to get the big guys' strength when you didn't have an off-season program. And again, we were really limited in the summer with what we could do, so he's having these workouts on Zoom where you can't even talk to them and can't see them, and you don't know whether they're working out or not. So a lot of the kids had to use their own accountability to do that. But on the other side of that, the 12 new guys that have come in, I'm seeing tremendous strength gains with them. I'm seeing them get better every practice. Those two young linebackers are running around all over the place. I'm seeing a DJ Jones who, again, he and Elijah Green came in without any work at all last year, and I'm seeing both of them look like college football players now and being much more efficient and ready to go. They're working on pass protection, and they're catching the ball out of the backfield better, and we didn't see any of that when they got here. So we just had no information. The NCAA did help us then and now with the 2 weeks of walkthroughs. And I think we're all critical of the NCAA. That's one thing that has really helped that we can teach. But even Ty Chandler, with his 2 weeks of walkthroughs and his 6 days of spring practice, he's getting stronger. I think, and Hess or Bateman could tell us, but I think, for instance, Tony Grimes, who was a high school senior, he's gained 20 pounds since he's been here. And he just looks different in his body than he did before. Keyshawn Silver he was 255 when he committed to us. He's 306 pounds. So being in a strength program with Kelsey, our nutritionist, does an amazing job. They have to eat every meal. She checks every meal. She looks at every calorie. So it's efficient eating. So those things matter. And we lost that all of last spring and last summer.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Mack, you mentioned the 3 phases of spring ball. Wondering if you can just flesh that out for us. Obviously, the first phase has to do with the acclimation period. But what are you trying to achieve in each of these phases?
Greg, ask the 2 coordinators that, because we set individual goals for each group. And then at some point, we should get Jeremy to get Javon DeWitt on here with you and do the same with special teams. So we said here are things that must improve. One of them being pass rush. Why don't we rush the passer better? How can we improve our individual guys, and who are they? So, like, I will ask, who are the best pass rushers in your mind? Give it 1 through 5. And maybe let's go 1 through 8. And that'll be the 2 deep if we've got 4 pass rushers in the game at a certain time, and we challenge the guys with that. But each phase has to come up, each unit coach has to come up with 3 to 5 things that you have to do really well to play my position. And it'd be interesting for you all to ask them what they are. And then we grade them. And that's how we determine who moves up and who moves down, who is doing the things that they have to do to perfect that position. And then as a group, improve pass protection, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands better, have lower pads with those young defensive linemen. A huge one is chase the ball 100% every play. And if you're not, we're going to take you out. And we call them out on every play on our video. And we're going to start making it a disciplinary action. If they don't sprint during practice, then they're going to get that sprint after practice, because we've always done our conditioning during practice. But if you're not going to do it, then we'll keep you out afterwards and let you do that. So you have your goals for that first 5 days, evaluate them, reevaluate where you are. Do you need to continue to work on some of those, or do you set 5 more or 4 more for the second 5 days, and then what do we have to do in the end? The other thing that's really interesting for this year for all of us and you folks is the way I understand it, and we could get Jeremy to get the information to you, but I think that you cannot transfer in the transfer portal after May 10th. So, I mean, we'll have 10 days if a young man wants to transfer after spring practice. There's about a short window there where they will have to come in and tell us they want to transfer, and then they got to go. So that's really the first time that's ever happened and very unique for all of us. So I'm asking our coaches now, let's talk to each player. If you're in this role, are you going to be okay with that? If you're projected in this role, are you going to go to the portal? Are you going to think about transferring? What's your mindset, so we won't get caught off guard if 5 guys leave within a week after spring practice and we had no clue. So we're trying to keep an open communication about a very uncomfortable subject just to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Jacob Turner, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, I want to talk about your coaching style real quick. We obviously have seen it in the past since you've been here, and also at the open practice a couple weekends ago. You're very hands-off with your assistant coaches in practice in terms of letting them run the drills and coach the players and all that kind of stuff. So when you're walking around to these different position groups and watching them, are you evaluating the players just as much as you're evaluating the coaches, vice versa? Like, what is it that you're looking for in these instances when you're kind of walking around the field and checking these different groups out?
Yes. Jacob, I keep my phone, which I used to do it on a pad and pencil. It's so more efficient. So I'm constantly putting notes on my phone to me. And I am very hands-on with the coaches in this building and in our staff room. I mean, very hard on them, very demanding. And they know that. They laugh when people say, yeah, he's so nice and he's so easy to work for. They all say, yeah, you ought to come see us. But they can't be sensitive. I've told them, coaches will say, oh, those players are so sensitive, man. I said, you are too. I tell you this, you're not doing this right and you act like a baby and you pout. So come on, man, grow up. We're trying to win. Everything we do is about winning. So most of what I'm doing is making sure that we're doing everything right as coaches during practice. A lot of coaches like to yell at assistants on the field. They like to be seen. They like to tell people they can coach. I've always felt like if I yell at an assistant in front of his players, I'm demeaning him in front of them and taking away some of his ability for them to have confidence in him. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to coach them inside. I'm going to coach them away from everybody else. And I also think it's very disrespectful when you're yelling at a coach because of his inability to coach his players. I don't like that. That's just not my style at all. And then most of what I do, I'll put some notes about players, but most of what I do with the players is off video. So we'll come off the field and sit down and I'll watch 2 or 3 hours of practice video, and I'll go over every drill, and I'm constantly writing notes for my staff notes about don't put the ball on the line every time. Move the ball off the line because we have to work on alignment. And why are we having false starts? I don't understand that. We don't even have a snap count. So help me with false starts. How can we line up offsides? We got officials out there. Check with the official. So there's 4 pages of that stuff. In fact, they get it so they walk in and they look to see if their name's on the staff notes, and they're happy if they're not. But I've told them, you do your job and you won't be on there. But that's, and then we say that we're doing a lot of individual drills now where the running backs and the linebackers have a score drill where the running back's running and the linebackers got to keep him out of the end zone. And we haven't been able to do that in the past, some because we just weren't deep enough. We had a great outside linebacker tight end drill with all different types of blockings yesterday. There was a tight end and a tackle. And so we're doing a lot of things against each other that are more physical than we were able to do the first 2 years, and I really like that. It's just, but we'll, and the other thing we'll do, Jacob, is we'll take wonderful plays of hustle, and I'll show them in the staff room, and then we'll take them to the players. Here's Jaquarius Conley. He came on the blitz, and Sam gets the ball out of his hands. He turns and sprints and tackles the guy down the boundary. So everybody needs to see what a great play is. And if you're griping that you're not playing in front of him, that's why you're not playing. He's making those plays, and we show loaf plays. And if we have a bad drill or a bad inside drill, I'll take it to the staff, and we'll sit there and I'll say, help me with this. This is inadequate. We're not going to play this way. They're too high. They're soft. So that's what my job is. My job is to tell our guys what I see that I like and to tell them what concerns me that needs to be fixed. And then it also helps me a lot. I eat lunch with the players every day, and I'll eat dinner with them quite a bit because I want to see them. And I can walk by and say, hey, Keyshawn, you did a great job in inside, man. I like that. You're getting better. Or I can walk by and say to Jordan Tucker, God, you're too high. Come on, man, get low. You got to get your pads down. Because they need to know that I know. And I also tell them, I'm going to make sure each one of you has a fair shot. So don't stay mad. If you're not playing at quarterback, don't get mad at Coach Longo. He and I make that decision. Not just him. And we got a lot of eyeballs on you in practice. So, and we go back, Jacob, to everything we do is to win. We want to have fun. We want them all to graduate. We want them to get more prepared when they get out of here with branding and life after football and name, image, and likeness. And hope they make all the money they can make. But we got to win. And it all comes down to winning. And if you don't win, it doesn't work. So my job is to give our coaches advantages by helping them with things that I don't feel like they're doing as well. We take pictures of everybody that has a ball in their arm. And we post the ones that are carried properly, and we post the ones that are out here. And we said, you're not going to play if you can't carry the ball properly. So that's the process that we go through. And I've got my faith, my family, and my football family, and that's it. I got nothing else. So that's all I do, and I do it every day. And I can't go home without watching that practice. I have to watch it immediately. And then sometimes I'll watch it 3 or 4 times because I'm watching every player. And I have to watch it from an offensive side, and then you have a shot from the back of the defense. So I'll probably watch it twice on both ends. And our coaches are great. Some of them weren't great when we got here, but when I'm hard on them right now, they're great. They want to win. And I've told them, if you disagree with what I say, come see me about it. But these are facts that I think this needs to get fixed, and you tell me. You come to me and tell me if I'm not right, and then I'll be fine with it because I'm not always right. But we're very direct and we're very aggressive with everything we talk about in the staff room.
Matt, quick follow-up. Is there anything that changes in your coaching style between spring practice and fall camp in the regular season? Are you more hands-on maybe in practice directly and maybe more quick to step in and say things to players during the regular season than you are in spring? Is there any difference between the two?
No, I'm probably the same person every day. I talk to the team before every practice. We have a team meeting, and I have a message for the day. And I'm probably more aggressive on some mornings than I am others. But I think I need to be fair with everything we do, with you all, with our players, with our parents. I need to be consistent because I don't want the coaches to come in not knowing whether I'm going to yell at them or scream at them or throw something against the wall or laugh and cut up with them. I don't want our coaches on edge. I want them coaching. And I've asked them to coach our players like they would want their sons to be coached or their daughters to be coached. Well, I want to treat them like I want to be treated. And the great mentors I had were very direct with me. And that's what I am. I'm going to be very direct with our coaches. And that's what I learned. And to me, that helps. And then, Jacob, after we get through, we walk out of there, go about your business and go on. So if I jump on one of our coaches about something, I want it fixed. And I want it fixed now, or if I think he's not treating a player fair, I may even bring the player in and sit him down with the coach and say, look, I don't like the way this is going. Let's get it fixed. What do you think? What do you think? What's wrong? But that's why our players trust us, because we're so direct with them. But at the same time, when we get an issue handled and we move on, I'm through. I'll go to something else. I don't sit there and stay mad at a coach all day because of something he did. And if I have to correct him a lot and I stay mad a lot, I'm going to fire him. I mean, that's it. I've said, get it fixed. And if you don't get it fixed, I got to move on. I got to get somebody else to get it fixed. So even if you disagree with me and I want it done, I am the boss. So get it fixed. And if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And if you don't get it fixed, I got to make another change, because we're trying to win. And it's really, really important to me, for this university and for this community and for this state, that we're really, really good in football.
Thanks, Mack.
Thank you.
Okay, Coach.